a lot of people have turned their back. A lot of people have told me that I couldn't do it. And I don't really care what they say. But I remember everything that they've said. And I don't use it as revenge, because if you work in a negative space, I don't think it's healthy.
Yep. So true.
Every day I wake up and I'm like, I'll say and do what I need to, because I want to make a change in this space for my son.
Yeah.
And for people like us.
Matt Kang is a professional golfer and creative from Phoenix, Arizona, by way of Toronto, Canada. We met last year in LA, and I consider him a friend and a true outlier in the golf space. I don't use that term outlier lightly. If you follow Matt on social media, you'll know that he has called out golf footwear and apparel drops from major brands that have all missed the mark by a mile. He's an independent contractor and has invested his time, energy, and resources as a mentor to up-and-coming collegiate golfers. That last part is probably why I respect him so much. Here's my time with Matt Kang.
This golf space, it's changing every year.
Yeah.
What are you seeing this year as far as changes go and as the year unfolds?
Yeah, it's a really weird time in the golf space, because I think like everybody's getting involved, every brand, every athlete. And while there's this like story of there's all this money to be made, in all reality, over the last couple of years from COVID, everybody kind of bled dry of how much they have in a marketing budget, and it's kind of wild to me, because people are doing things for free or for product. And the goal of this is to like make a successful business, be as creative as you can. And I think that whole mindset is shifted away from where it's at right now, where people are just doing anything that they can to survive in this industry, right? And it's tough to see.
With what you're seeing, do you think that there's more opportunity for people?
Yeah, I think there's a ton of opportunity. I just think you have to do it so differently. The days of like just being a straight pro golfer or an influencer, getting a deal out of it is kind of done. You're seeing like all these big brands have these marketing budgets to promote their new driver or putter, but you put all your money into it. Is it turning into sales? I don't know. I don't work for the company, but from what I'm seeing, there's really not much to work with anymore. And you have to evolve just like your audience is evolving, just like how we evolve as golfers. And you got to get better at your craft. And that's something that I focused on, because I didn't want to do things traditionally. I didn't want to have the same voice as anyone else. I try to be as original as I can be. And I think like there is a ton of opportunity in golf, but you just have to figure out your own way to do it. And then if you get lucky and people support it, then you can kind of build some momentum.
You've been on a pretty wild run, like within your world.
Yeah.
These last few months with the types of people you're getting together.
Yeah.
The activations you're doing, but also with what you're saying. And I think what you're saying is that's going to be your greatest weapon. What's this reaction to the type of things you're talking about and, what you're promoting?
It's definitely love-hate, You get the one side of it, which is so awesome, of like the kids and creatives, people like you that support me. And I feel really bad for everyone that does support me, because I know it's not easy. And I would be lying if I didn't say I was dreaming to be in a position to have people that actually like respect what I'm doing. But then on the other end of it, it is a business, and I know that things that I say and things that I do go against the grain. So it does affect someone else's opportunities in the space. And it's been tough, it's like I've had friends and close acquaintances in the space, turn their back on me, tell me what I'm doing is stupid. But in all reality, I don't really care. I'm not trying to be cool. I'm not trying to be famous. I'm literally just, golf is my job and it's my life. I have a family, and you talk about over the last couple months, things have kind of come together. I had a newborn son 70 days ago, and, it's probably the greatest gift I've ever been blessed with. And it aligned with things really coming together. And it hasn't been easy, I think we met, last year in LA for a little bit. And like, that was at a time where I was second guessing everything that I was saying and doing, because people were looking at me like I was crazy. I've had people say, yo, you're crazy. Like you're in like a midlife crisis. And I'm like, no, man, this industry needs to change. And like, nobody is saying anything, And I have a choice to either be myself and try to make a change and help myself and help everyone else around me, or to just follow suit with what everyone else is doing. And that's just not interesting to me.
I have to remind myself that this is golf, and the fact that, people would end relationships or cut people out because of certain things that you might say or do.
Yeah.
It just blows my mind.
Yeah, we talk about growing the game and making it more comfortable. Well, like, this is part of it, I talked about this with my business partner yesterday about beef in golf, that like there is no real beef. You don't really see anything come out of it.
Yeah.
I'm not asking you to fight somebody, but like we're like the one sport where if you say something about somebody else that is facts, that is truthful, you could get canceled for it. And I just think that's a crazy space to live in. I think we should be able to say exactly what we want, as long as you're respectful. And there's different people and there's different characters that are going to say things that cross the line, and I'm probably one of them. But like Brando Chambly said Tiger Woods should never play golf again before he won the Masters, That is a crazy statement to me, but that drawed a lot of attention. And I think in this like golf space, from brands, influencers, pro golfers, people got to lighten up. People got to be more open-minded to competitiveness. I had a call the other day and my friend was like, yo, we could all survive in this space. And I'm like, I agree, but I come from a competitive background as a pro golfer where I'm not worried about who I'm playing against. I'm worried about myself and the course that I'm playing. So for me, if I'm getting into a new space of creativity and design and collaborations, I'm trying to be the best. I don't really give a fuck about what anyone else is doing. And I think I'm in a space now where I'm seeing a lot of people care what other people are doing rather than focusing on what they should be doing to make this space better.
So based off what you're seeing, there's opportunity, there's a lane that you've made for yourself.
Yeah, 100%.
And there's an audience that's like hungry for the next thing, or just hungry for a better experience in golf. Mm-hmm. What are some of the pillars of like, whether that's product or events, what type of pillars are you leaning on and are you looking to get into?
People ask me if I've had a plan of how I've done everything. And like, to be honest, I've just winged everything that I've done. I wake up and I see what I like. I see what I don't like in this space. And then I think about, is this worth my time pursuing? I started off a year ago being pretty vocal about brands I don't like in the space. And that was only because I saw people were too afraid to say anything. And as a young startup company, an independent contractor, you have to disrupt the industry, in my opinion. And that's something that I did. And now I'm at the place of like, okay, what is it that I want to actually change, whether it be accessories? I think the biggest thing for me is seeing a space where people like yourself, like myself, we could be as creative as possible and having the actual opportunities to make a difference. Far too often, our ideas are stolen by many people above us and we don't get to see the light of day. And that breaks my fucking heart. You see it in the music industry, you see it in the movie industry, and you're like, and it's just like, wow, golf is evolving into a global entertainment industry. Like you have the NBA All-Star game, there's a golf activation. Every sport has a golf activation, right? So it's obviously opening up doors to many different things. And my job is to find what I'm passionate about and then figure out a way to execute that, whether it be a collaboration, whether it be finding the right person for the project. That's like another thing I see in the golf space that pisses me off. There's an opportunity for somebody and everyone's worried about how can I get that opportunity, where a lot of us who are in power should be thinking, who's the right person for that opportunity? And no one thinks about that. And that's the reason why the product we're getting in a lot of different spaces in golf is shit. I'm just, it's the reality, because they didn't find the right voice for this interview. They didn't find the right creative for this design. They didn't find the right person to market a product to a completely different audience to make this attach and be even more relatable. And I think that's why good and like that whole movement is so powerful, because they found the right person the right voice that connected to the right audience, and you like aligned everything, and it's their brand is more powerful than the PGA Tour right now.
I was telling the camera guys when we were driving up here that the recent product you designed, it reminded me of that childlike creativity. And that's the point in our lives when we're the most creative.
Yeah.
And as we get older, that light slowly starts to dim. And, you know, we get into our lives or, you know, other pursuits. What part of creativity for you is the most important?
This is like a love-hate thing. I love being first to do something, but then I also know timing is everything, and being first doesn't mean you're the most successful. You know, you look at like Blackberries were like the biggest phone in the world, but then iPhone came around and it was like, well, we'll do what you're doing, change it up a little bit, and we'll market it 10 times better, right? And unfortunately now, like, we don't see a Blackberry anywhere. So I think like being first is really cool for me because it allows me to actually believe that like, wow, I did something before anyone else. I'm not saying that I do that all the time, but the curse of that is that timing is everything. And if you give something too early, or you dress a certain way when the world isn't ready for it, they're going to make fun of you and they're going to say what you're doing is stupid, right?
Yeah.
And for a long time now, I've always tried to go against the grain. It's gotten me in a lot of trouble, made my parents' life really difficult, but I can't change who I am, you know? I just like, I love products. I love sports. And for the first time ever, I think golf is in a place where everything is coming together, and like I feel like a kid in a candy store. Like I want to dabble into, you know, I don't know how to use cameras and edit videos, but this is a step for me to learn how, you know? And then I'm competitive, you know, so I'm going to figure out how could I do this better than anyone else differently. And I think for me, like, it's just an endless pursuit of like, one day I'll wake up, an idea will pop in, and then I'm just going to go for it.
What have been some firsts that you feel like you've put your stamp on?
I would say being able to, the first kind of thing I did was being able to curate like these custom clubs for people that have never been in this space before. I did some stuff for Kevin Durant and Drake, and I hate to like name drop, but they don't golf, you know?
Yeah.
And to be able to, you know, I gave KD his golf clubs at his house on his birthday. It's my favorite basketball player. Never in a million years would I have thought I'd be sitting in his like living room having a shot.
Yeah.
And then the Drake thing, it's like, I'm from Toronto, man. I was raised by that whole movement. And to be on a golf course with probably like the most inspirational person in my life was so crazy and full circle to me, because I could have met him at a concert. I could have met him at a restaurant. Like we shook hands on the putting green in Turks. And that was like, you know, I try not to look into signs from God, and like I just try to live life and just go with the momentum of life. But that felt like a sign to me of like, hey man, what you're doing, you're meant to be doing, because it's my favorite artist.
Yeah.
From Toronto.
Yeah.
Chased my dreams because of what him and his friends did for the city. And that wasn't luck or fluke, you know, that was almost felt like it was meant to be.
That was relational.
That's all that it was, you know? And
Yeah.
to anyone that sees this conversation, like that all started from me being vocal about things that I don't like, posting on social media about product that I do like, and then connecting me with the people involved in that camp. So anything is possible.
What motivates you to keep going and keep pushing?
You know, right now I'm in a different space, so obviously I'm going to save my son. My life hasn't been easy. You know, I've been through a lot, and our son came at a time that we needed it. And every single day I wake up, I feel like if he's a golfer, I cannot see him go through the things that I went through. You know, I've been suspended from a golf club for something that happened to me. I've had racial remarks said to me by employees at this club. I used to play hockey. You know, I can't tell you how many times, you know, I used to wear these like super skinny jeans and like Lanvin sneakers to like a hockey rink, and then I would get called gay, and I'm like, how is that even a thing, you know? And like, it affected my whole life. It affected my confidence as a young adult to be able to be as creative as I want. And it took me 30 years to finally have the courage to be like, no, fuck that, man. Like all that shit that I got made fun of, all that shit that I wanted to do as a kid that I wasn't able to do, I'm going to do it at this age now, but I'm not doing it for myself. I'm doing it to break a door down so that when my son is whatever age and he wants to play golf and wants to be like his dad, he'll never have those things happen to him. And I don't want him to look at like ugly clubs and ugly covers and ugly clothes, you know?
Yeah.
So I might as well start it now.
I like how much you invest in the next generation and those that are coming up. What made you think of that as like a way to give back?
Yeah, you know, this is a long story, and it like something actually happened recently to one of the guys in our little group that's really fucking tragic. And I think that's another conversation we'll have. But I come from a family where, you know, my parents were divorced and things got hard when I was a kid. I had an older sister, but we all like kind of like did our own thing. And I moved out of home when I was a young teenager. So I never had a mentor, never had a younger brother. I was always just traveling, playing hockey and then golf and like fighting my own battles everywhere I went, you know. And I was a problem child, and I'll be the first to admit it. I caused a lot of problems, but it was all from the same thing, that like, this isn't what I want to see in this space, and I don't fit in, you know. And when I started this creative journey, I'd be stupid to not want to do this for anyone else, you know. I feel like we're at a time where kids need a voice, they need support, and they do need mentors to guide them through this like golf space. And a lot of these college golfers especially, they don't adapt to social media and the marketing side of it because they're so ingrained into the books and to practicing, and it's so competitive. You know, like ASU where I live has 12 players and there's only 5 players that play twice a month. You know, that's 6 or 7 kids every week just practicing. And their parents are calling them, why aren't you playing? Why aren't you doing good enough? Like, that is very stressful. So I figured, you know what, I might as well not only try to make a change for myself, but build a community and actually, you know, if it gets to the mass, great. I'm really grateful. But at the end of the day, if I can make one kid's life a lot better in this golf space, I did my job.
Yeah.
And doing better isn't just putting money in their pockets. It's, for me, it's like educating them on design and catering their voice for their audience and figuring out ways to tap into this space and turn, you know, their hobby and their passion into a monetized space. And yeah, I mean, there's no point of doing all this if you're doing it on your own. And I think that's like another flaw that I see in this golf space is like, this like grow the game title that they're throwing around everywhere. Like, we have t-shirts, every golf brand has a t-shirt that says grow the game.
Exactly.
I'm like, what game are you playing? Because if you want to grow the game, go to the local range, help somebody, you know. And I got 5 or 6 young guys that I literally mentor, that we pretty much talk every single day. You know, and it's just like, I thought I was helping them, but I don't think I'd be where I'm at without these guys.
Wow.
They've been to every single range meetup, every collaboration they've posted. Every time I post on Instagram, they comment. And like, they're changing my life.
It's a two-way street.
100%.
Yeah.
You know, and
Sniper gang, right?
it is, man. And it's just like,
Where did that name come to be?
you know, I don't really know. It just kind of like came because we're all just like, yo, we're shooters. And then I was like, yo, we're snipers. And then I was like, well, we might as well just say gang, because that's not really a word you can use in the golf space. But
Yeah.
we've become a family, and we've had dinner at each other's houses.
I love that.
Again, there's a couple guys in our group now that are going through a really tough time. And it's like probably the worst thing that I've ever could think of. But it's not my place to talk about it. So that shit breaks my heart. I mean, that's another reason why I'm like, I have to make it, because this person is relying on me to help and make a change in his career because no one else is.
Yeah. Well, good on you, man. I mean, the giving spirit that takes to like take 5 guys under your wing and like
Yeah.
be in communication with them every day. It takes a lot of heart, and it takes a lot of time and just dedication. So I think that's something I love about you is
Thank you.
you're like nitty gritty, just down to connect with people on a human level, and like forget all the, the social media thing that has its place, but like we're all people at the end of the day, and
Exactly.
we all need each other, and the world would be better off if more people did that.
Yeah, and I think I know, like, again, there's positives and negatives to things that I do and say, and to anyone that I've hurt or offended, I'm sorry, but in all reality, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
I'm saying that I don't like this design of a shirt.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of other people that are thinking the same thing that are too scared to say it, but meeting you is a perfect example. We connected on social media, pull up to like a driving range, we just kick it.
Yeah.
Took a couple photos, and I know you did some stuff with our homie Jung.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's just organic. That's literally us connecting.
Most organic, probably.
Building a relationship. I know I did a couple photos, and I was like, hey, I can't figure this out. Can you help me? And you did it for me. And that's the beauty of being creative and finding creative people, where like there's a bigger purpose than what you want and then what I want, and we're trying to get there together. And that is special, and that ties into these young kids that I'm helping, that ties into us sitting down right now. The goal is for all of us creatives that actually care and love this game of golf, take this shit to like a completely different world that, no offense, no influencer or PGA Tour player can ever do. Because, I had this call with this golf brand the other day, and they're like, our athlete who's a top 10 golfer in the world, unfortunately, just doesn't sell polos. And I'm like, it's not his fucking fault. He doesn't know shit about clothes.
Yeah. Just given something to put on.
Yeah, like he doesn't even care. You guys are paying him, and he's supposed to be paid. He's doing his job. It's your job to change the design and figure out a way to align a story for him to buy into it. And I think that is like a huge thing that is missed in this like marketing golf space. We got golf bags on putting greens, golf carts on putting greens. Like, this shit just makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
That's common sense. That's not knowing the game of golf.
Why do you think there's so much pushback to what you're trying to do?
Because I don't buy into a system. I don't work for a company. I don't have 50 brand names on my resume, Instagram title.
Yeah.
And people look at that as a negative. Like, what's wrong with being an independent creative trying to find his own way? Saying, yeah, like your driver advertisement is cool, but I don't really give a fuck,
Yeah.
It's not easy to be a solo act, It's a lot easier for, I can't take the credit away from like talent, but like, it's a lot easier for like, who's relevant today, those that are Justin Timberlake to be an NSYNC, and then to be like, hey, I'm gonna do this on my own. I hate that I used that reference. I'm so embarrassed.
All good.
I'm trying to think of a better group to work off of that went solo.
Yeah. I think of like the first guy in through the door gets shot first. Like,
Exactly.
it's like you're the tip of the spear, the first one to do something like this and to speak out like you are, and to do your own thing in this space of brands and companies and collectives and all this. It takes a lot of guts, and it takes just an ounce of bravery to speak your mind.
I appreciate it. I think it's hard, man. Like, I get a lot of anxiety. I've never had serious anxiety until like this whole new career path. I all of a sudden was this like struggling pro golfer to be like, hey, I'm gonna be in like Instagram and like talk the craziest shit, and imagine like everybody in this space saying, fuck you, we don't want to work with you. How do I find the lane? My lane was with the people, not with the brands. So I would be an idiot to run away from the people that have supported me. But like, it's been really hard. Like, my stress and anxiety has been out the roof, but then it just gets like leveled out when I have conversations with people like you that are like, yo, we really love what you're doing. Sometimes I'll post things and you'll repost it, right? To you, it's just a repost. But to me, it's like, no, there's a fucking person in this world that supports what I'm doing, that isn't scared to just say, yo, I ride with Matt. You have no idea how much that means to me. Like, it literally allows me to be sane. And, you know, I'm not going crazy or anything, but like a lot of people have turned their back. A lot of people have told me that I couldn't do it. And I don't really care what they say. But I remember everything that they've said. And I don't use it as revenge, because if you work in a negative space, I don't think it's healthy.
Yep. So true.
Every day I wake up and I'm like, I'll say and do what I need to, because I want to make a change in this space for my son.
Yeah.
And for people like us.
Yeah. So we're in April now, looking at the rest of the year. What do you see happening? What are you looking forward to?
Yeah, you know, I'm going to focus the summer on playing. I think I did enough in this space to like show what I can do, make a change. And now that I've like captured that world a little bit,
Yeah.
I want to tie back into playing. You know, I feel like none of this matters unless I win or I play at the highest level. So
Yeah.
I've been there before. It's an addictive feeling. But I also, and that's the other thing that I think we don't see in the golf space, is that like people don't have the confidence and the patience to say, you know what, I don't need to do this right now. I'll come back to it later.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm completely confident in knowing where the last year where I pretty much played a lot less, in 6 months, and I focused on like social media and branding and marketing. Everyone was like, oh, he quit golf because he's not making money and he's trying to become an influencer.
Right.
It's like, no, dummy. I'm trying to show you that I can do everything in this world that I'm in, while you think that I'm not doing anything, while you think that I'm not practicing.
Yeah.
I am. I'm thinking about it every single day, because I'm a golfer at heart. And, you know, I'm going to go back to the summer of playing as much as I can, seeing where that goes. You know, you can't predict when you're going to have success in golf.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to try to align that with collaborating with the right people and bringing them into the golf space so that we can actually see new ideas, new concepts, new faces, and prove that like this can work if you use the right people.
Love it. This was really neat to be able to talk to someone that I respect and someone that's making a lot of noise.
Thank you.
And so I appreciate the opportunity to chat with you.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you so much for even reaching out and wanting to do this with me. It's not easy, and I respect you for having the courage to talk with me. So thank you and your team for doing this with me. Oh, man.